Hi, Sagittarius, this is your reading for March 2023. The deck that I'm using is the Rider-Waite deck by Pamela Coleman-Smith and Arthur Waite. And yes, I use reverse cards, and if any cards jump out, I indeed use one or all of those cards. So the overall energy for the month of March 2023 for you talks about you needing to stay focused, and you're having a problem with that. Now, it does talk about having to deal with problems step by step. It also talks about small rewards. It talks about you needing pictures in your mind, or maybe even making a vision board to remind you of the things that you need to encourage yourself. It does talk about things being very sporadic in the month of March and unpredictable, and perhaps you need help to find resources in order to move forward. And it does talk about you needing to find financial resources. So perhaps you're having a hard time getting the financial help that you need. Maybe you applied for a loan and it hasn't come through yet. But be positive. Be positive. There is a danger in the month of March of missing a good opportunity if you're not focused. So indeed, you need to open your eyes a little bit wider and perhaps hang on to the money a little bit tighter. So the first couple of days of that month of March 2023, it talks about you needing to feel secure. And perhaps you're gaining a gift or an inheritance from a past relationship. It does talk about attempts to return to the past. Nothing good will come of returning to the past. It does talk about minor disagreements between groups of people are going to cast a shadow on a social aspect of your life that perhaps you're going to a place where you were raised or where you were born. You're going there to visit people, and maybe there's going to be a circle of people there who don't agree with things that are taking place in your life, okay? And so it is talking about there being a lot of tensions at that celebratory event. Maybe you're going to a celebration of life, or maybe a marriage. Maybe you're going to a wedding for someone, and there will be people at that wedding that perhaps don't see eye to eye with you. So be prepared for that. It also talks about the return of an old friend or an old relationship from the past. As you're moving into the next 2 days in that first week, it's talking about order and organization of material things in your life. You're having to organize things, and you're being involved in very specific detail work. It even talks about possibly you becoming an apprentice for a new job, maybe career training or employment. It does talk about you having a professional attitude that is going to benefit you. It also talks about you having to follow a very organized program of diet and exercise, gym, health maintenance activities, okay? So you're having to focus on your health in the first or the second half of that first week. So in the middle of the first week. It does talk about possibly having to take care of a special collection. Maybe somebody left you something and you're having to take care of it. Maybe someone passed and crossed over and they gave you something that was important to them and they want you to take care of it, or they gave it to you because they knew that you would take care of it. It does talk about you being gifted or inheriting property of sorts. Now, property could be land, but it could actually be material things. And it does say that you are going to double your wealth through marriage or partnership as you're moving into the middle part of that first week. It does talk about someone having their own way of doing things, and they might get upset when you try to change it or try to change something that they're doing. So be open and be willing to compromise. So as you move into the latter 2 days of that first week, it does talk about you having to make a choice between two things. And perhaps you're attached to things that are tying you down unnecessarily. It does talk about you feeling that you can't be yourself or you can't be independent of another person. So it does talk about victimization or perhaps even learned helplessness. It also talks about legal complications coming in, but they are other people's problems. It does talk about you needing to stay out of it, maybe even going through a period of time in your life where you're feeling a semblance of depression. Maybe you're even living with limitations at this period of time, okay? So in that first week, it's talking about limitations. It's talking about feeling like you're being cornered, and like you can't move forward. But indeed, there might be someone in your life who is passing, and perhaps you are gaining property. Maybe they have left you something and maybe you're dealing with that, and that's what's making you depressed, okay? So you know that there are times when We have to say goodbye to things in our life or even to people. And that sometimes can be very, very, very difficult. So I wish you well in that area. So let's move into the second week, because hopefully the second week is going to bring in some positivity. So it did talk in that first week about you needing to focus on your health. Well, Sagittarius, it's not getting any different. In that second week, you need to take care of your health. Stress is wearing you down. It's exhausting you. And stress will cause disease and illness. So it talks about staying active. It talks about concerns about a living circumstance that you're in, tensions with family members. It even talks about you needing to learn to say no to some people and to put up some personal boundaries, possibly with family members. It also says that you need to open up to other people, and there may even be a violation of your physical, social, or emotional space. Things are going to start moving, but they're going to move slowly. So as you move into the middle part of that second week, it talks about overindulgence. Perhaps you even feeling a lack of appreciation, or perhaps even disappointment when you've worked really hard to achieve something and the accolades were not what you expected. It does talk about perhaps you choosing an introverted lifestyle, not wanting to get involved with other people, to wanting to sequester yourself from any further issues or stress in your life. Perhaps even pulling away from family members, isolating yourself from family members because you can't deal with the rhetoric, you can't deal with the stress and the chaos in their life. But it does talk about you getting your wish over time. So be vigilant. Be vigilant and take care of your health. So as you move into the last 2 days of that second week, it's talking about someone in your life who is perhaps your mother, a maternal aspect, a mother, a sister, an aunt. If it's a sister, it would be an older sister. And it might even be someone in your life who runs a business, a mom and pop type of business, okay? It's someone who takes care of everything, all the fine little details. And it does talk about prosperity coming in with this person. Now, this would be a nurse sign individual, so it would be a Virgo, a Capricorn, or a Taurus. Let's move into that third week and see what's going on. And I'll tell you, Sagittarius, take care of your health, because once again, your health has come up and there's a serious illness. So the stress is getting to you. You need to find a way to release that stress. Perhaps you need to relocate. Perhaps you need to move out of a circumstance that you're in. But it does talk about you needing to plan and to problem solve and form strategies in order to move forward. So it talks about mental challenges. It talks about visions and looking for a way forward, okay? It talks about something very unexpected taking place. Perhaps even experimentation with new ways of dealing with things and finding your zen, perhaps getting involved in yoga or Ayurvedic medicine or holistic medicine. But it does talk about needing to be flexible and having alternate plans and not being so rigid in your thoughts and in your beliefs. It also talks about possibly theft, so be very careful, because someone may be trying to get away with something and they're very unethical. So if you're using the internet and you're in a public place, make sure you sign out. Make sure you don't leave if you do banking online, make sure you don't leave your internet open or your banking open. Make sure you always sign out and have two passwords. I think they do two-step passwords, they call that, for your banking, where they have to call you on your phone if there's been any activity on your banking. So be aware of that. Be aware of that. It's someone that possibly you don't really have a close connection to, but in some way they're involved in your family. So a family member's partner, or a friend that has dropped over that you haven't really seen a lot, or perhaps it's an old friend who dropped over, and basically they have changed their ways. Perhaps they're more unethical now than perhaps they were when you were their friend. Okay, so there's like a connection to this person. There's a connection to this person, but they're basically throwing you for a loop. They're not the same person that they were before, and your eyes are going to be wide open at this point in time. So to move into the middle part of that third week, it does talk about a a female energy. There's a nurturing energy. It might be a maternal aspect. It could be a grandmother, it could be an aunt, could be a sister, an older sister, okay? Now it talks about this person bringing in abundance with them. Material goods, wealth, gifts, favor, perhaps they're helping you out financially. It does talk about productivity. It talks about good health at this point in time, perhaps healing. It talks about a peaceful home life. This is a person that's coming in, and what they're going to do is they're going to use their resources to aid and help you and comfort you in some way. Now, it is an authority figure in your life that's going to help you. They're going to assume a leadership role in your life. Now, it does talk about you having to work through your issues with perhaps a maternal aspect in your life and let them go. Forgive and forget and let it go. Don't dwell on it and don't carry it into the future with you. But it does talk about issues with perhaps a maternal aspect in your life. It does talk about understanding and forgiving your own mom for any indiscretions, okay? And it does talk about appreciating a true relationship with possibly a sister or a mother. Now, the last 2 days of that third week talk about things being carried to extreme. There's conflict, there's challenges. Someone is going to challenge your sense of identity. You don't see yourself as the person that they see you as, okay? And there's going to be intensity in their behavior. It does talk about danger because there is a semblance of conflict here. So there is, a chance that it can escalate into a physical altercation. But it does talk about great passion, someone who is feeling very strongly and intensely. And there is this intense focus on being able to settle whatever dilemma this is. So someone's not willing to let it go. But it does talk about you being able to summon great force, and you are basically going to walk away from this dilemma. It does talk about insight into a problem or a circumstance or a negative circumstance in your life that indeed you need to pull away from. So let's move into the last week. In the last week, it's talking about the focus being on financial goods, which is a good thing because it's taking your mind off of the extraneous chaos that's taking place around you. Now, it does talk about focus on material goods. It talks about desire to build something. Whether you're building a home, whether you're building a property, whether you're building a business, or whether you're just building your life. Now, it does talk about building social power and affluence. It talks about being concerned about your security and your status, and so you're taking steps to secure that, to get yourself that stable balance in your life. That stability. It does talk about focusing on security, but not being willing to take any risks at this point in time. You're needing to focus and stay close to home. It talks about saving, taking care of your things, and not doing immature risk-taking behavior, not drinking, not doing drugs, not getting involved in gambling, things like that. Now, it does talk about going from one extreme to the next, okay? And possibly you're too tied down to security issues that basically you're not living your life. So you're so scared about losing that security that you have that indeed you're not taking the time to enjoy the life that the Divine has given you. Middle 2 days of that last week, it talks about teaching, traditions. It talks about culture and institutions. You're directing your knowledge outward. You're telling people what you feel. Perhaps you're starting an online business. It does talk about you having a connection to a wider world or a wider audience. It does talk about teaching and mentoring other people, perhaps giving special advice or being recommended for something. Maybe someone has seen the hard work that you've put into your life or into your job or into your relationship, and they're asking you for advice. Possibly you're being invited to act as a spokesperson for a group of survivors. Maybe even seeking out a mentor who's qualified to teach you. Maybe you're wanting to go back to school, to college, to university, to get a degree. You know the old saying, when the teacher is ready, or when the student is ready, the teacher comes. So when it is time for you to learn, you will be prepared. It does talk about your communicating your spiritual philosophies and beliefs to other people. It does talk about getting involved in ancient wisdom, perhaps even Ayurvedic medicine. Maybe you're going to even start to do yoga. But it does talk about holistics, it talks about spirituality, and it does talk about your connection to nature and to earth. So as you're moving forward, Sagittarius, I wish you well, and I hope that your health comes back into balance, and I hope that indeed you prosper in your life and things go well for you. Namaste, my friends. Take care, and I shall see you in April. Bye-bye.